dong, kan sekarang Prudential punya PruWorks, inovasi terbaru dari Prudential untuk asuransi karyawan. 5 kemudahan PruWorks. 1. Mudah persyaratannya. 2. Mudah memilih manfaatnya. 3. Mudah pengajuan polisnya. 4. Mudah mendapatkan informasi dan proses kepesertaannya. 5. Mudah klaimnya. Lindungi karyawan Anda dengan cara yang lebih mudah dengan produk-produk dari PruWorks. Wujudkan kemudahan dalam memberikan ketenangan kepada keluarga karyawan Anda dengan perlindungan jiwa dari Pru Corporate Life. Wujudkan kemudahan memberikan ketenangan dalam bekerja bagi karyawan Anda dengan perlindungan kecelakaan diri dari Pru Corporate Personal Accident. Wujudkan kemudahan mendapatkan pelayanan kesehatan untuk karyawan dan keluarganya dari Pru Corporate Medical. Wujudkan kemudahan melindungi karyawan Anda dengan layanan menyeluruh dari PruWorks. Dengan teknologi inovatif, lindungi karyawan dengan mudah sejak awal. PruWorks. Dengan teknologi inovatif, lindungi karyawan dengan mudah sejak awal.
Thank you very much indeed, Asti, and a very good afternoon to everybody who's on this webinar. It's a great pleasure to offer this platform, a BritCham Marketing Information Webinar platform, to our very long time member and special category partner, Prudential Indonesia. As far as this particular session goes, our objectives really are to cover two main things. Firstly, as a part of the purpose is to help people get the most out of life together. And with that, the introduction of the Prudential Group Insurance products, PruWorks Life, PruWorks Personal Accident, and PruWorks Medical. This event aims to give a good insight and awareness to all participants that transformation starts with the leaders. Secondly, we plan to explore how the pandemic has further reinforced the urgency to transform the health and wellness protection for all employees, and how the changing landscape has encouraged leaders in companies, including CEOs and HR directors, to remain agile and digitally prepared. Just by way of a reminder, all participants on this particular webinar, on behalf of BritCham, will receive from Prudential Indonesia a 1-year free coverage for personal accident with certain terms and conditions applying. But that's for all people on this particular webinar. With that, I'd just like to say that in about 10 or 15 minutes, I'll be joined in a chat with Professor Reynold Casali, who is the founder of Rumah Perubahan. But before that, I'd like to hand over this floor or webinar, so to speak, the screen maybe, to the President Director of PT Prudential Life Assurance Indonesia, Jens Reich, and his colleague, Nick Holder, CFO of PT Prudential Life Assurance, Prudential Indonesia. Over to you, Jens.
Thank you so much, Chris. And from also on behalf of Prudential Indonesia, good afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Thanks so much, Chris, for the introduction and also for co-hosting this event, for giving us the opportunity. And also, I think to my colleague, Nick Holder, whom I should also mention, is not only part of Prudential, but actually also the honorary secretary of BritCham. So I think also not an unfamiliar face for at least many of the BritCham members who are also joining today. We just felt it is a relevant topic maybe for two, I think, big topics. One, of course, is we have COVID, and I all hope that you personally, but also your families and your companies which you are representing, are doing fine, are still maneuvering as best possible and in a healthy way, in a good way through this COVID pandemic. On the other side, I think it is important to just reach out to all cooperation, to all people, maybe whether it's HR, whether it's management, to just, I think, explain a little bit the challenges and making sure, or making extra sure, talking about safety, well-being, and that everybody basically is sufficiently and well protected. I think probably just to highlight a bit Prudential, I think Chris mentioned it, we carry a purpose. And if I just maybe share on the next slide, our purpose basically as Prudential, not only in Indonesia, but as a group operating throughout the world, is to help people get most out of life. And this is, of course, a very, I would say, a topic which relates to people, which relates to their health, to their well-being, to, of course, also, let's say, guiding and partnering them in a journey. And as much as we are an insurance company, our aspiration for Indonesia is to make Indonesians healthier and wealthier. And that is actually the main aspiration. So hopefully we are more than only a company paying claims and paying in the moment of truth, but truly also, let's say, assisting companies, assisting associations, assisting basically NGOs, and assisting families and individuals in Indonesia throughout the country to do basically good in a way that they are, let's say, having a peace of mind. I want to share that Prudential Indonesia is soon celebrating 25 years of its anniversary in Indonesia. On the 2nd of November is our big moment. And we also, I think, will further do some events and collaboration, of course, virtually best possible. But maybe let me share on the next slide just a little bit of the COVID impact we see so far after probably 7-8 months here in Indonesia. Of course, the first case was at the very end of February, or in the newspapers on the 1st of March. Most companies, I'm sure also colleagues who are joining here today, whether we had to all prepare, I think, working in a different setup, but also making sure that all employees, their families are being safe and well. So I think importantly, we arranged very clear positioning that we are covering with all our products, basically COVID-19. And we were asked by the Ministry of Health to also be one of the insurance providers who are covering the volunteers in Wisma Atlet Kemayoran, which are also partly not only doctors and nurses, but also students coming from all over Indonesia, helping out in these times of crisis and serving and treating people. We also basically provided, as one of the first companies, a free COVID cover. This is basically an hospital cash plan. So everybody who is basically just activating this cover through a Pulse, our apps, is basically being covered in that moment of truth, should he or she be hospitalized. And that's at least, I think, a commitment where we feel we will support, we can support people who have insurance and people who don't have insurance, who basically have a chance to just activate it. And like many companies, we, of course, also try to support Indonesia, especially the medical society, with basically equipment. We also supported many rapid tests in a couple of cities. Of course, now it's all swing to swab tests. And I think like many companies, and that's maybe also the relevant topic for today, this innovation, maybe I call it forced innovation, maybe I call it COVID-triggered innovation, which I think has touched many of the companies and managements and staff in a similar way. So I'm guessing, let's say, not only the agile way of working, but actually making transformation happening. So this working from home, even I can share Prudential, we have 1,900 staff in 23 cities. It was not so easy, but actually today, if I look back, it's quite an achievement to be able to operate and run and still service all of our customers and partners, and it is working. So if you ask me maybe a year ago, I would not have easily imagined it, but it is important that I think the way of working, the agile methodology on how we manage innovation, which I think later I can maybe say Professor Renald Kasali, who is of course a well-known personality in Indonesia. He is a professor, not only on the academic side, but I think also with his Rumah Berubaan, I think an enterprise, a social entrepreneur, I think a leader who not only writes many books, but I can say he's also, I may share this openly, our independent commissioner. So actually with our board and with our commissioners, we went through this together to make sure that we are future ready. And maybe the next slide, I just want to share again, not only talking about insurance, but I think the next is making Indonesians healthier and wealthier and providing access. So we actually here created, this is group-wide across the world, a Pulse apps, which is basically an AI featured and triggered apps for health, for wellness, for lifestyle, for activity, but also, let's say here in Indonesia, we added our services. So if basically our customers, our policyholders, or Pulse users wishes needed to go to hospitals, needed to have medical assistance, they have a choice to do this virtually. They have a choice to do virtually and basically admission to a hospital, have a hospital finder. We have basically now online medical delivery to the home in most of the cities. And I think we will, of course, it's a start, but we have now already 3 million downloads. We have 1 million active users. And I think that's actually a little bit our proof point, if I may say, together with our partners like OFO, Tokopedia, Halodoc, or Babylon. Babylon is a leading medical digital provider in that space of symptom tracking. So basically like you can, through questions and answers, get this across. And I think that is our commitment, not only for Indonesia, but across the world, to basically bring our aspirations, making Indonesians healthier and wealthier into life. And maybe my closing before I pass on to my colleague, Nick Holder, I just want to say, especially for all the business owners, for also the HR professionals who are joining today, I think that agile way of working and the way of transforming, I think I'm sure is at the moment, and regardless in what industry you are in, a core priority, and I think a core enabler. And I can say we are also, of course, still in Prudential work in progress to make sure that this is all happening. But I really encourage, I think all of you, I think that there's probably not one way, but I think the agile way of transforming is, I think, a great tool, capability, and enabler to empower and trigger basically a speeded but also well integrated way of working to bring innovations into life. And I'm sure that later Professor Renald Casali can share a lot about his observation of disruption and how to manage in these times, and his recommendation to management and to all of us who are joining this webinar today. So from my side, thank you very much for joining. And Chris, thanks again for the opportunity to connect. And I'll just maybe pass on to my colleague, Nick Holder, who's also a UK citizen, so a more authentic UK chamber representative.
Thanks very much, Jens. Thank you, Chris, also for the introduction. Great to be here today. I don't want to take up too much people's time because I know very much that Professor Renald Casali will be the highlight of the agenda today. If we can just go to the next slide, though, I just very briefly wanted to introduce everyone very quickly to PruWorks. PruWorks is a new product from Prudential in Indonesia. We haven't actually sold this coverage before here. And when we set out to create it, we were very mindful of the modern world and how people are generally short of time. They don't want to spend time on administration, but they do want to look after their staff and employees and keep them in the best possible health and to keep them connected and engaged and motivated with their employer. So when we set out to design PruWorks, we were able to start with a relatively blank sheet of paper. We're very much focused on using digital as a way of making the product work. So whereas some of our competitors might be more paper-based, and we've tried to make everything as fast as possible and available to you on your phone or your laptop. At the heart of this are what we call the 5 easy requirements. The first one is it's very easy to get coverage. We will insure companies with only 5 employees. This is the lowest we believe in the market. So even small companies can get cover. with PruWorks, and we have a range of solutions that are designed from the very small all the way up to the very large company, and we already have clients of all different sizes. Second, we have a comprehensive range of plans. So we have 3 main products: cover medical, to cover life insurance, and to cover accident, but they have many options, or as we call them in insurance, riders, to make sure that you can give your team the coverage that you feel that they'll value most. We've made it easy to claim. You can claim online by submitting documents electronically. It's easy to access. There are portals for your staff, there are portals for your HR department, so it's very easy to administer. And actually the application as well. Most group policies you'd have to fill out a paper form. With us, it's all done electronically. We're very proud of our proposition. As I say, it's proved very popular in the last year since we've launched the business. And I was very pleased, particularly in the last month or so, when BritCham itself did an evaluation, an RFP of medical coverage, and decided to take PruWorks as the best available medical coverage. So there you go. That's a brief introduction to PruWorks, and we'll be very happy to answer any questions you have on that later. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Nick. And if anybody has worked with a not-for-profit association, we're very, very difficult to please. We always want the highest quality for the lowest possible investment, and a lot of work and effort went into establishing that PruWorks product as the best available on the marketplace and suitable for BritCham. So we're grateful for that. It gives me great pleasure now to introduce, as Jens and Nick have mentioned, the gentleman probably that most of you are here to listen to his opinions and to gain his experience and to glean his insights as well. Professor Reynold Casali. For those of you who are not fully familiar with him and his background, he's a professor at the UE Faculty of Economics and Business, obtained a PhD from the University of Illinois in the United States. He founded Rumah Perubahan as a forum for social entrepreneurship, which he lived to drive the transformation process in this country. He's also done a lot of research and written bestseller books on business, on management, leadership, and education. His online classes are attended by a lot of executives and young people alike, and it's broadcast on the Mahir Academy platform. Professor Reynold was awarded the Global Gurus in Management by the Global Gurus Institute from 2014 to 2019 with World Management Experts, and was confirmed as the Writer of the Year in 2018 by ICAPI. I'm humbled to be in such great company. Professor Reynold, are you there to join me? While we're just waiting to get the professor online, I'd like to say that we've had some great questions sent in advance. Thank you very much for those. There are well over 100 people tuned into this particular webinar, but we will take questions from you. Please use the box at the bottom of your screen. We'll try to get through as many as we can in due course. If we can't get through all of them, then please accept our apologies in advance. Professor Reynold, thank you very much for joining the British Chamber of Commerce and Prudential in Indonesia this afternoon. I'd like to get straight into the questions because we've got so many of them, Professor. And I know that you've got very, very specific opinions to share in response. How significant do you think the pandemic has made the C-suite realize the importance of having agile leadership? And really, from my side, as somebody that leads an organization that I mentioned as a not-for-profit, but BritCham through its membership has small companies, medium-sized companies, and large international conglomerates. So do you see the importance as happening with only the big and the multinational companies, or do you see it also happening among the smaller companies or even the startups?
Well, thank you very much, Pak Ren and Pak James, Pak Nick, and friends. the pandemic actually is an enforced digital. Yeah, everybody agree with that. Yeah, like this one, this meeting. If there is no pandemic, I think we can meet each other physically in a room, so we can talk. Everybody come to see the presentation directly. But because of the pandemic, then we use the technology. Yeah, in fact, the technology already there for many years. Yes, at least 5 years, maybe already been there. But then people don't use it. Why? Because there is no problem that to visit and to see each other directly. Yeah, to do the presentation in front of the audience physically. But today, it's not only the presentations, but also business meetings, and some other things. So uh, the the difference between the big multinationals and the small one is the competition. Yeah, and you know that now we face the unseen competition actually from the platform, from the technological company. Suddenly they extend, they enlarge the services. Yeah, they shift the services from their main business area to the other area and some other things. And suddenly we see that the competition, our competitor is not the one that we know traditionally. Yeah, so because of the force of the competitions, actually, the small company that the so-called startup now becoming bigger and bigger, and they collaborate actually with the traditional company. Yeah, they collaborate, and then we as like Prudential the same. We also collaborate with the startups. We cannot do our business standalone. Our don't pay attention on the ecosystem. The ecosystem has changed, and I believe now the C company, I mean the what you call it C-suites company, that the C level in the multinationals, yeah, no pay attention on it. So agility is very important, and people, I mean the companies now becoming aware of the competition, of the change of the technology, yeah, and in order to face the new competition, we need to use the technology, and uh, the proof of the technology is the agile. Yeah, whether your company has an agile principle or not. Yeah, agile manners in your structure, in your process, in the people. Yeah, and some other area, especially the intangible one, like culture, dynamic capabilities, and some other things.
Thank you very much, Professor. I think everybody would agree with you that these particular times where the environment is changing very, very quickly, it does need agile leaders to be able to go through this process of adaptation. I just wonder whether you have any data that can perhaps corroborate just how significant the relationship is between having agile leaders within a company and also growing that company's revenue.
Yeah, there was a study by McKinsey. This study is published in the March of 2020, yeah, by McKinsey and Company. The study showed that in the year of 2020, the impact of the agile leadership on the 22 companies in 6 sectors can be seen in fourth area. Yeah, fourth area, another one. Yeah. So the first one is on employee engagement. Yeah, according to the study, it affects about 20 to 30 points improvement on employee engagement. Yeah, and then on operating performance, it's the impact is about 30 to 50% of improvement. The customer satisfactions between 10 to 30% point improvements. And the last one is not easy to calculate because the financial performance is affected by many factors, not only by agile leadership. Yeah, but the researcher from McKinsey believe that it affect about 20 to 30 points of improvement comparing to the previous year. So this indicator, this data showed that yes, agile leadership is very important, especially agile leadership. Yeah, you can see that's it's affecting in 5 operating model dimension. It's on strategy. Yeah, actually the agile, they call it as agile maturity. Yeah, it means that how the company operates in agile manner. It's affected by the agile leadership. Yeah, in 5 areas, 5 operating models areas: strategy, structure, process, people, and technology. The the impact can be seen directly on the way on the how the company do the transformation. Yeah, if they have agile leadership, agile culture, and some other things, then it becomes more easily for the company to transform its organization, especially when they force with the sudden change like the pandemic that already been about 7 to 8 months actually.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. It's always helpful to have some stats to provide some clarity in terms of the benefits. It's often discussed, isn't it, that
Yeah.
or the question is raised: are leaders born or are they developed? And I'm just wondering, in the context of agile leaders, just what is it that organizations can do? Are these leaders developed through training? Or are they developed through other initiatives that come from within the organizations? What are your thoughts on that, Professor?
Well, in management area, we believe that leaders can be created. It's not just natural. Yeah, that's why training is very important. Education is very important. Pressure from environment is also important. Meaning that what area of exposure that you have in the past. Yeah. So there are several things that affected the agility leadership. The first one is mindset. Yeah, different people, different people growth in different area. Whether you are growing in an open and growth mindset or on the fixed mindset area. If you face the pressure from the environment, yeah, and your company, your previous company, your career is affected by the situation that a little bit turbulent sometimes, yeah. Maybe you may develop an open or growth mindset rather than fixed mindset. With the growth mindset, what I mean is the term that's developed by Carol Dweck, yeah, with 5 categories. There's obstacles. Have you been? How do you respond to obstacles, for example? How about challenge? Do you like challenge or not? Or not? Yeah. And then how happy you are when you are facing critics from others? How do you respond to competitions among the peers? Yeah. And what is the other fifth? I forgot about the last one. But the mindset by the Carol Dweck, by Professor Dweck, yeah, she found that if you believe that your intelligence is stagnant, means that not stagnant, fixed. Yeah, when you were, say, in the high school, you were studied by a company saying that by your psychologist saying that you are smart enough by having 150 points of intelligence, yeah, and then you believe you will be genius all over the time. And she said that that's wrong. Yeah, your IQ is not fixed. Yeah, could be changed. It's affected by 5 areas like I mentioned before. Yeah, the last one that um, pressure from success of others. Yeah, so that's 5 areas. How do you face the situation? Mindset is very important. Whether you have an open or fixed mindset. And the second one is Of course, education, yeah, and character. That's also very important. The third one is structure and DNA of the company, yeah, because every company has their own DNA, yeah. Um, in telco company, for examples, yeah, uh, a telecom company, certain companies is developed from DNA of telecommunications, meaning connectivity, the connection between one area to the other area. But then it comes another company, say like in India, operating of telecom, but they are platform already from the beginning. The DNA is from platform. And then there is new company in Japan, Rakuten. Rakuten actually is an e-commerce starting from a startup, suddenly become operating of telecommunications. So they have different structure and DNA, of course. Yeah, one company is trapped by previous culture and DNA, and the other, and they need to transform. How agile the company is affected the success of their transformation. And then there is another company that is starting from very agile situations developed during this new technology. And then the fourth one is organization and skills or talents. Several company trapped in the past skills. Yeah, the skills that we studied, we developed in 30 or 40 years or maybe 20 years ago. They're still there. Yeah, but then we need to get new. We need to retrain our leader in order to get new talent, new skills like the so-called the future skills. Yeah, and then regulations. Yeah, you know that we just in Indonesia we just talk about the job creation legislation. Yeah, how do you face the regulation? Regulation affected the industry. Regulation affected company. Yeah, okay, and technology, of course. Yeah, how do you adapt to new technology? And the technology moves so quickly, so fast. That's why we need to have a technological intelligence in our culture. Yeah. And then the last one is environment, the macro environment, not only the regulations, but also the environment that's possible to make you more agile comparing to the other. Yeah. So these are the factors that affected whether a leader can be an agile or not when they are transforming their company.
So you've talked there, really, your focus has been on agility within individuals, within organizations,
Yeah.
Professor. But from a corporate perspective now, do you see more companies being more agile in the future? And I suppose the logical question is, what kind of transformation is going to be needed to create these more agile, more resilient companies, particularly among these changing environments? Your pyramid showed various reasons, not just COVID.
Yeah, the 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 level of agility of each company are different. Yeah, several companies still on the stage of entrepreneurial stage. Yeah, the owner and the family of the owner is still be there. Yeah, as and some other company, the owner still alive, still be with them, but then they already hire major leader that's coming from professionals, yeah, and the professional run the company, and some other company becoming more bureaucratic, controlled by the professionals. On the other hand, um, the level is also influenced by the way the company invests in the past. You know that in the 3.0 type of the company, industry type of the company, industry 3.0, yeah, the investment actually heavy on fixed assets, yeah. But comparing to the new and more agile company, they more invest on operating expenditure comparing to the previous one, the capital expenditure. For this company, sometimes it's not easy to transform because they are trapped by um, the investment they did it. Yeah, so the transformation can be seen like this one, Pak. Yeah? So you can see that the traditional company actually they used to control, yeah, to control. Uh, when they need something, they try to have it within the company, within the company. The whole value change. If you are acquiring a company, you want to buy the majority of that company so you can control it. But the new and more agile company think about orchestrating. They don't have a lot of employee. They don't have a lot of fixed assets. Yeah, they orchestrate the ecosystem actually. Okay, and the second one is the capex and opex, like I mentioned before, and then the traditionally the old company they maintain the current market, while the new company they disrupt the industry by targeting the low-end consumers. So disruption actually by agile leadership, creating the new low-end market. Yeah, like in the banking system, you can see for about 75 years in Indonesia, say that 60 years of banking operation in Indonesia, it's only created something 20 to 40 million bank account actually. Yeah, but the low end of the market don't have that kind of bank account. Yeah, they don't have access to the current banking system. So that's why now it comes some companies, this newcomer, by using the financial technology, they targeted the low end market. The same like in the transportation, you can see that's the newcomer targeted the new consumers. Yeah, whether it is a taxi or an airlines, they targeted the low end market. Yeah, so the new companies mostly targeting the low end market. This is the character of disruption, actually, always like that. And then the previous companies trapped by yesterday's skills, but here on the right side, they invested in future skills, something like data science. Yeah, you know, like Harari said that the oil is data is the oil of the 21st century. Yeah, data, but yes, everybody agree data is very important, but how do you manage your data? Data is something like oil. If you harvest it, you cannot use it before you refine it. So we need to refine the oil before we can use it. But how do we use it? Using the data technology, of course. The previous company using the statistics, yeah, take the samples and then predict the future. But here, using the data technology, automatically they targeted the market, they can see it, they've reformulated their strategy day by day, second by second. Here, from day to the other day, from month for the next month, yeah, because they think about predictions by using the previous data. Okay, like this one, the previous company, yeah, they are corporate people, and here the difference. They orchestrating the ecosystem, yeah, because they think sharing resources. Okay, and then the last one, yeah, it was redundant. Yeah, many activities are redundant in a corporate each other. Yeah, we have activities whether redundant each other, and then having subsidiary sometimes also redundant. Yeah, but here they are lean and collaborated. So I see that many more companies join to the right hand side of the model. Yeah, but it's very hard. Yeah, it's very hard from the old one in order to transform to the right side, the right hand side of the business model by using the new technology and also the new business model.
Thank you, Professor. I'd just like to bring us a little bit more closer to the business really that our partner today, Prudential Indonesia, is involved in. we as an organization know that for many companies in Indonesia, there is always a challenge in relation to talent acquisition, talent development, and talent retention.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to ask you, Professor, do you see any correlation between having life and health protection to increasing employees' productivity and attracting new employees and maybe retaining top talent?
Oh yeah, especially for young talent. Yeah. I met several leaders as well, the young um, employee. Yeah. And um, I talked to them and they told me that most of them, the reason they join a company is about the protections that's available or not in the company. Yeah. So many uh, young talented people, yeah, saying that they are more happy, they are prefer, yeah, to join a company that's offering health protection, because now health becoming the number one, yeah, priority of many people, yeah, many educated people, yeah, they prefer to get more on health. But this is different from the market in general. Yes, in the market, also people believe in general that health is very important. But the problem is now is the purchasing power. Yeah. But when they join when they are becoming talent in certain companies, they prefer to apply to be stay in a company that's offering health protection. That is very important. Of course, this is not the only variables. The culture, the DNA, the possibility to grow, yeah, and then the climate, yeah, the climate, whether they can work in their culture or not, yeah, because young people now think that culture of a company is very important. Yeah, they want coffee coffee shop in the middle. Yeah, that's different from us. And what I see is people besides, in addition to the health protection, they are prefer to play rather than to work. Yeah. Why? Because the technology from the beginning, they use this technology for all together, work, leisure, and learning. Yeah. Leisure playing. Yeah. So I remember about a week ago, there comes someone send me a message saying that they hack data of certain companies. They want to see me. And then I told the director that here that's happening. Your data was hacked by somebody, but because this is a white hacker, they want to help. And I asked them I invite them to come, and I want to know them. At the beginning, the directors of the company think, yeah, that the person that hacked the company was a tiger, a lion, a big lion. Yeah, they really worried about it. But when they come, this person who texts me come, and I realized that just a kid, actually, yeah, just a kid with catch, yeah, informal dress, yeah, not like us, yeah, very informal. They came like a player, and they told me that you have a very good, talented IT people work as a cybersecurity manager. Yes, we agree, but they work. In fact, we hacker are not working; we are playing. Labor employee, yeah, work 8 to 5, 8 to 5. At 5 o'clock, they're going home. Okay, that's normal. Yeah, very serious in your office. But we start to play at 9 p.m. while you are sleeping. We play at 9 p.m. No salary. We love it. We are looking for dopamine. Yeah, of happiness. Yeah, um, and then we never stop until we get it. Until we get into your company. Yeah, they penetrate our system. So after meeting with those people, I believe that playing now, those who create a playing culture, yeah, in addition to a certain target, yeah, agility and health protection, yeah, could be very strategic things that influence the performance of organization.
Professor, it sounds like the likes of you and I were perhaps born or should have been born a few decades later. Yeah, so
That's
that
true.
we could have had a more playful environment to work in. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are so serious. We were so serious in pursuing our career.
Indeed. As you mentioned, health is on everybody's mind at the moment. Every item of news mentions the pandemic, and it's impossible to not be aware of the potential implications of what's going on. So clearly there is a need for better protection for employees. And as you've mentioned, there's a lot of incentive for companies to take that approach. But any guidance to companies as to how they should respond to this, the fact that health is up front and center all the time in the news and in people's considerations, whether they're single, whether they're married, whether they're family people, whoever.
Yeah, I think first of all, health becoming the first priority right now. Yeah, so the company need to send signals that they have the same uh, level of priority that also be the priority of their employee. That's very important to send that signal. How? First, uh, send any news, any information, possible things that's possible help your employee. If there is a priority employee that you need to protect because they're working on a high risk area, I think company need to send vitamins and some other things that needed by the employee. Yeah. The second one, of course, we need to be more flexible in working hour target. So survival is very important right now. Yeah, survival is number one priority. So send those signals to our talent. Yeah, that's very important. And then later on is give them the protection. Yeah, improving the protection, the value of the protection, the service of that protection. Even though now we have that kind of protection, now we are worried to go to hospital. Yeah, say that you want to visit your dentist. Yeah, the dentist use already the level 3 of protection. What you call it, the hazmat. Yeah, level 3 actually. Yeah, 3 pieces. Yeah, yesterday I met my doctor. She said that now the patients is only about 10% of all patients that coming. Only 10%. The rest 90% worried. They don't want to come, even though we open the dentist. Yeah, but they uh, only 10% want to use it, even though they have the protection, even though the insurance pay for them. Yeah, 90% don't use it in this situation. Uh, yes, for the telemedicine, that's possible if you have emergency asking questions, simple one. But if you need to get surgery and also some other things like you go to dentist, you have to go to the doctor. Yeah. So in this case, yes, you have to give extra service actually. I went to my hospital, to the dentist, to the hospital. I used my protections, my insurance, because the insurance company providing what you call it, um, um, a person in charge in the hospital. Yeah. So rather than waiting on the queue, they did it the administration things. Yeah, fill in the papers, informations before I came in. So when I came there, I don't need to be on the queue. I don't need to be doing the administrative things. They give the service to us. Okay. And then when we met the doctor, they set the schedule already. It helps a lot, especially for those who doesn't have much time and some other things. This is not against the regulation, against the politeness, yeah, but that's what people need to be in on the right time rather just waiting on the room. Yeah, meet people. People are phobia right now on the crowd, on the waiting room. Yeah, they want to go directly to the doctor, meet the right doctor, and we need that kind of service. So protection is not standalone. It's not just numbers or not just a police, but I think that's more than that is service, yeah, and understanding.
And I think you're very, very clear on that, that companies should provide protection. Employees are screaming out for being looked after in that way.
Yeah.
Have you got any guidance for companies, though, Professor, in terms of what is the essential type of protection that every company should at least have for their employees?
Yeah, first of all, of course, the leadership of the company. Yeah, the leadership is very important. You know that insurance company is also fragile during this day. Yeah, fragile. Some insurance company going bankrupt, even though we pay the premium already, and suddenly they bankrupt. For some people who get insurance for retirement, for example, and when they need the money, and then the company get bankrupt. So, number one, you need to see the leadership and the governance of the company. Yeah, do they manage it carefully or not? How do the profile of the leaders, directors, the boards, and some other things? Yeah. The second one is the financial structure of that company. Yeah. I know the company is something like Pru is appreciated, is respected in Indonesia. That's because people know the financial structure of the company is managed carefully, and they have strong financial performance. Yeah, and they have a good performance, good corporate governance. Yeah, uh, so they targeted well, using the money very well. That's very important. So um, understanding the structure of the company is very important. Okay, and the other one is about how do they manage the complaint. Yeah, uh, is the complaint number is high or not? That's very also important. So the reputation of the company, I believe, is number one. Reputation, leadership, governance. That's number one.
Thank you. You talked right at the very beginning about COVID. The current situation has forced digitization
Yeah.
on business, Professor.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. Whatever business anybody is in, to some extent. Do you think that there is a limit on just how advanced companies need to get in terms of their transformation into digitization?
Yeah, there is a limit, of course. Yeah, because technology is a double-edged sword. Yeah, so it can help you, but also can kill you. Um, 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 by incorporating the technology, you can reduce a lot of your employee. Yeah, a lot of employee. You can change the contact center by using AI, for example, artificial intelligence. No many more company using artificial intelligence in communicating with their customers, for example, and then they can ask you, discuss with you, and surprisingly, people are more happier surfaced by the machine rather than by a person. Yeah. And because the machine is never feel tired, you know, they can be accessed 24 hours. They understand you. They learn about you. And for a male, the machine understand you're male, or you are more likely to be assisted by female, for example. Yeah, they understand you. They learn about you by using artificial intelligence. The same like when a male is preferred to be served by a male, they also can do that, yeah, as if they're a male, something like that. Yeah. But then when you reduce employee many more, the problem is the market is declining. The purchasing power, the ability of people to buy, yeah, the economy is affecting. Because the economy is affecting, then it's also affect your business one day in the future. So it's very important to consider in which area whether we use the technology. Yeah, of course, we need to save our cost, but we know also to be wise in order to incorporate this one. Yeah. The other thing is there's also a discussion about manufacturer. How do people now, I mean, the managers the company owner try to replace the machine with robots, the so-called cobots, collaborative robots. So your coworker is no more people in the future. 50% of your coworker is machine, is robot. Yeah. Yes, possible. Yeah. But then it's also affected. According to one study, now the robots, yeah, the level of intelligence of robot can be improved. Yeah. And it will be very dangerous for the future when they can the machine because the machine learning because they learn, and then one day the robot could have awareness, having self-awareness, and then they suddenly realize they are more uh, uh, more uh, having more power, yeah, than human. Okay, that's very dangerous when the machine having that kind of awareness. Yeah, that's why some say that it's very important now. Yeah, to create a button. Yeah, how to kill a robot, because robot in the future can born another robot. They can create robot. Robot may create robots. Yeah, it's very dangerous when the story that we saw it in a movie, yeah, the science fiction movie, that's possible could happen in the future. So people need to reconsider before they apply it. Reconsider about the structure of the population in one country comparing to the other country. In some Western country, you faced declining in labor force, deficit demography. But here in Indonesia, you will face a surplus of demography, yeah, a lot of labor. So when we incorporate 5G, another 2 years or 3 years maybe, yeah, possible 5G could be here in another 2 years, yeah. Say that you want to have a self-driving car. In fact, many people need a job to be a driver in Western societies, in developed countries, in Japan, in Korea, in America, in the UK, you need to be very rich to have a driver, personal driver. But here, most executive using driver. Becoming a driver is a good job actually for people because we have a lot of populations. But if we replace it with the technology, possible it's safer according to study, but then affected the economy in the future. So we need to reconsider. WISE is very important. You cannot make every country the same. Context, understanding context is very important.
Thank you. I was smiling when you mentioned self-driving cars, Professor. I was just imagining the streets of Sudirman and self-driving motorbikes. Could you imagine that one?
Yeah.
If we think we experience chaos now.
Yeah.
I'd like to take this opportunity, if I may, because we've moved on to the subject of digitization. And we've covered change quite a lot, and there are some questions that have come in. One in particular, and I hope I'm understanding what you've asked correctly, Anyok, really asking about what happens in the case where a leader is perhaps not able to embrace change in a manner that's consistent with the company's established culture. What would your suggestions or thoughts be about that?
Sorry, can you say again, please?
Yeah, where you've got an organization
Yeah.
that's embarked on change and you've got a leader trying to implement change, but perhaps it's without due respect to a company's established culture.
Oh, yeah. Well, it will be damage the transformation. Yeah. So understanding and knowing the culture is very important. Yeah. The soft side. We as engineer, we as financial people, mostly having more belief on tangible things. Yeah. If you have background, say in numbers, accounting, and some other things, you know that most of the things that we can calculate, we can put on the financial report is numbers that coming from the tangible things. Yeah, the things something like when you spend 1 billion or 2 billion rupiah to send your people to study, to get a PhD, to get master degree, or to train them in some other countries, you you put on the balance sheet, you put on the financial report as a cost. But the benefit, the value of the people, the intangibles one, cannot be calculated in the financial report. So most people in accounting believe in tangible things, and most people in engineering believe, yeah, in tangible things, while DNA or culture is something that's intangible. What I mean with intangible is you cannot touch it, you cannot feel it, you cannot see it, but you can feel it. You can feel it. And culture is about bonding. Um, the culture that we mean is something that need to be recreated rather than just replace it, rather than just uh, change the technology and some other things, moving people. We need to understand the corporate culture. We need to understand the local culture. We need to understand the macro culture. We need to understand the values develop, the history of the company, the history among the people. Yeah, we need to know a lot of things in doing transactions, some other things. Yeah, um, so if you don't understand it and then you just incorporate something that you bring from your headquarters in Japan, in Korea, in it works in the Western societies, but possibly couldn't work. You need to adjust a little bit because in a culture we are not only thinking about general culture, we consider also subculture. In every single culture there is also subculture. If you go to the police station, for example, yeah, the police department, you can see that some police focusing on the say on the crimes, yeah, police for crimes, for handling crimes. The culture of this kind of service is different from the those who handle the traffic, yeah, those who handle the drugs, for example, are different. Subculture among these people, yeah, among this sub-organization, also affecting the culture of the whole. So if a leader coming to an institution, they just transform it by bringing the technology directly, bringing the financial report targeted without considering any culture, I think you will be failed. You will be failed. Yeah, you need to pay attention on it, understand it, and then how do we solve? How do we set the steps in order to change?
So you really moving us on to a subject that is touched on by a number of our questions, actually, Professor Reynolds, and that is that, you know, we do not naturally embrace sudden and significant change as human beings. And we accept that what has happened since, let's say, February and March this year, it's all been very, very sudden. The need to accept a different way of doing almost everything in our lives has been very, very sudden. So there has been a shock to the system. And if I just sort of crystallize this in the question from Alberta Sukandarti, who's the GM of HR at PT MAP Active Adi Perkasa, how do you manage the culture shock for the transformation into agility, which is inevitable and needed?
Well, actually, some people are not ready with it. If that's happened only the shock for several people, several leader, we can do the coaching system. Yeah. Now, coach is very familiar among the HR people. Yeah, coaching is very most HR leader, HR directors understand and familiar with the term of coaching. Coaching is very important in this area. Yeah, culture shock. But then there's also possible the culture shock because suddenly you face the situations that totally different from your expectation, which is now is very normal in this situation, the so-called VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Yeah, people face this kind of situation. Everybody feel that's in the situation is we are living in volatile condition. Volatile. Yeah, it's not only volatile but also vulnerable. Yeah, volatile and vulnerable. But in order to solve it, we need to be vigilant. Yeah, uh, and then yes, it's very complex. Yeah, but then we need to contain which that we can control and which part that we cannot control. So coaching and put the right people and then chunk the target, yeah, is very important. Yeah, hire certain person in order to communicate your plan is very important. Like you see what's happening with President Joko Widodo in this month. Yeah, he proposed a very good legislation. Yeah, and supported by say 90% of the parliament. 90%. He's so powerful in the politics. Yeah, in the government. Yeah, make some people believe this is the strongest government ever have before. Yeah, this is the strongest one. Yeah, so he can create the legislation very fast. But then he realized, he just mentioned yesterday or 2 days ago, he said that uh, uh, that's not enough. Yeah, having a good plan, having a good legislation, having a good work is not enough. Communication is very important. If you have a good things, but you failed in communications, you will fail. Yeah, you will fail. You know, today we live in a situation is totally different in the past. Now everyone has their own stage. Everyone, everyone has their own media. In the past, if you want to put media to the public, you want to force information to public, you need to go to the media. And then the media have an editor. But now, because of social media culture, the technology, everybody have their own stage. Yeah, you can just make yourself news and then you publish, you circulate it. Yeah, without any editing. So communication is very hard right now. And according to Professor Yosef Nye from Harvard, yeah, he said that now soft power is very important. Soft power, communication with a certain key groups is very important. Yeah. Understanding this situation is very important because now we are in the middle of narrative war. Narrative war. Yeah. Uh, the war, the Cold War was over as a third World War. Yeah. And the war on terrorism still there. Yeah. On the fourth, as a fourth of a World War. Yeah. But now on the fifth World War is narrative war. So culture shock is not standalone. Yeah, it affected people to communicate by using new kind of communications among people. Very easy. They have a meeting. Yeah, a secret meeting among those people. Yeah, by using social media, affecting others. So people will affect others. Uh, Connect their feeling to the others, and then the situation become complex. So hire the right communicator. Providing coach is very important.
There are a number of questions that are very, very similar in nature, and I apologize to our viewers here that I'm not taking them one by one, but clustering them. And I suppose that there is a significant cluster, Professor,
Yeah.
around the issue of lots of people have had change forced upon them. Many people are being asked to take, in some cases, alternative working conditions, alternative compensations, working from home, trapped, if I may use that word, in abnormal environments with the families in close confines, doing online schooling for children, and so on.
Yeah.
There is so much change. How do leaders take people with them on this journey of change, fast-track journey of change, when there is so much change and actually around them, ordinary people perhaps can't really see the benefits. How do the leaders take them with them? How do they create those positive vibes that the outcome of all this change is going to benefit everybody?
Yeah, I think uh, understanding is very important, both ways. Of course, uh, everybody has their limitation. Not all people benefited. Some people, yes, benefited. Like me, I'm benefited. Yeah. Before I need to go to my campus 1 hour from here, from my home. 1 hour, sometimes 90 minutes from here to my University Indonesia at Depok. Yeah, 90 minutes, 1.5 hour from here to there. And then need to come back the same distance. Yeah. So 90 minutes going and then 90 minutes come back, totally 3 hours, along with another 3 hours teaching in Depok. Yeah, totally 6 hours. And then when I came home, I was tired, really tired. Yeah, I need to take shower and very tired. But now it's only 1 seconds, 1 or 2 seconds from uh, uh, my room to the lecture, yeah, to my classroom is only about 1 seconds and easily, yeah. So I got benefit of that, yeah, by doing that one. It's easy for me because I can teach from anywhere. Tomorrow I need to go to Toraja, for example. I can teach my students from Toraja, for example. It's very easy for me. I can do two things at the same time. In the past, now we cannot do that. But for several people, yeah, they're tired. For students in the university level or high school level, maybe the impact is not the same like the kindergarten and the elementary school students. The parents, it's not easy, and some people don't have that kind of technology. So how do we solve as a leader? As a leader, you need to inspire those people. You need to help them to solve their problems. You need to understand. You need to have empathy on them. At the same time, you transform your people by asking people, "Don't worry, it will be over soon." I think that's not a good advice. Yeah. In fact, every 2 weeks, the government announced the PSBB is prolonged. Yeah, every 2 weeks. Yeah, it will be prolonged. The units to stay at home, working from home, and some other thing already about 7 to 8 months. Yeah, so sometimes I told my people, rather than just waiting for the uncertainty, why don't we think that it will be happen for 4 years from now? So we are ready to the new culture using technology. So it's not always that we have to meet, but still we can use this kind of technology. Um, Most people will invest in technology. So whenever you have money, invest on technology. In the past, I never bought this kind of microphone, something like this one. But now I have to invest in order to make my communication good, well, better than before. As a leader, you need to be a role model to people, help them to solve their problem. Yeah, understanding which level they are, which part of your staff, your people that can easily transform to the other one. But some people cannot be transformed. They have different skill set actually. So we need to help them. But some people need to be doing the same thing, right? Like the office boy, like the security, yeah. They still need to attend to the office and then doing things, even though there's not many things to do. Yeah. So as a leader, we need to be a role model to create positive climate. Yeah. To inspire them, ask them to save their money for certain activities because today the priority has changed. You don't need to spend for transportation. Yes, you have the saving, but now you need to invest on the connectivity, yeah, digital connectivity. You need to invest on the technology. Yeah, you need to be more happy at home, being with family. You need to learn more, yeah, than before. Actually, every single information, every single knowledge and science now is available on digital media. whether is it in TEDx, Indonesia X, um, MITx, yeah, Coursera, a lot of things. So if you want to take your master degree, you can do it now because now every program is online and cheaper than before. Many cheaper campus now available in online connection. So why don't we do something? So we inspire people to do that. And then as leader, we need to have empathy on the difficulty that faced by everybody now. Not only that person, but also wife, couples, yeah, they face the same situation.
Thank you. So never before has an asset of a good leader needed the emotional intelligence side of things.
Yeah.
Very, very important. Um, and really summarizing what you have just said with regard to people who are having a shock and being needed to be inspired. I guess the message really is to embrace the opportunities. Don't be afraid of the opportunities. And as leaders, restating that and encouraging and inspiring, as you say, people to see the current downside as an opportunity to change their lives, embrace new things. We are approaching the end of what has been an absolutely fantastic conversation, Professor Reynolds. Thank you very much. There's one question here I'm not going to ask, but I'm going to say what it is. We're not going to answer it. It says, what is the worst case scenario for COVID-19 and how should we prepare ourselves for it? I don't think we want to go there. Instead, I'd like to focus on the first question that came in from one of our viewers earlier, and that is, what happens next after COVID in terms of leadership style? Is agility a buzzword that is going to be trendy and very, very quickly go out of fashion? And will there be something else that follows it? What are your thoughts, Professor?
Yeah, agility is only the expression of the leadership. That's true. Yeah, but in general, we need to adapt the so-called digital leadership. Yeah, company has become transformed mostly on platform. Yeah, um, transportation becoming software, technology becoming software, everything becoming software, and the software possible create a company to be platform rather than be a physical company, a physical office like we know before. Yeah. So in the platform economy, people collaborate each other, focusing on their certain area, and then the leader, the manager, now becoming orchestrator rather than become a controller, rather than become a director, they become orchestrator. As an orchestrator, actually, they orchestrate the ecosystem, and everybody need to understand more on the ecosystem. And in order to manage the ecosystem, we need to have a future skills, new skills. Yeah, the future skills, something like digital science. Yeah, the data science. Yeah, data science is not just a statistics. In statistics, you use sample, you predict the future by using the past data. But by that the sense I mentioned before, that you use data technology with mathematics and statistics, yeah, and also the business process and the business understanding that in order to solve your problems. So by having future skills, you transform your employee, your culture, your DNA to be new DNA, to be platforms DNA. And the futures, the keywords is platform, digital leadership. Sorry, Chris, you are mute.
I'm just a little bit sad by that answer because my team refer to me as a technological dinosaur, Professor. So perhaps I should just retire. Always happy to have a laugh at myself. It's been an absolute pleasure for myself, and I'm sure for the 130 odd or more participants that have joined us today for this marketing information webinar. For BritCham, it's been an absolute pleasure to partner with one of our longest standing companies as members and supporting partners, Prudential Indonesia. I think that this is such a great occasion, and it didn't get lost on me that on November the 2nd, it is the 25th anniversary of the Prudential in Indonesia. I think I would like to ask my team to help me make sure that we get some fantastic photographs of everybody that's on here, so that these can become a part of the documentation of the 25 years celebration as well. So could I just momentarily pass over to Asti and ask you all to be patient with us and to cooperate with her instructions so that we can get some great photo shots. Asti.
Yeah, sure. Yes, thank you, Pak Chris. So I will let Pak Jens, Pak Nick, and all Prudential team to just turn your video camera on and then pause for 5 seconds. Take a picture. Okay, we are waiting for Pak Jens.
Actually, my camera, I cannot. Oh yeah, now it's on. Good.
I
yeah,
can
great.
see you, Pak Jens.
And then Pak Nick.
Yeah, same. It's struggling to turn on. There you go.
You're there. You're
There you go.
there.
Here you are.
So I will count 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, very great. Thank you. Back to you, Pak Chris.
Asti, are you going to get a few people among our participants? Is that possible, or is that not possible?
I'm afraid we need more time for that.
Okay, all right. We can perhaps do that another time. Then I would just like to do my closing remarks by referring to one question from Ayunda Koirunisa, who is HR with MNC, and she asks me a question. It must be directed at me. How does the British Chamber play its role in Indonesia in terms of facing COVID-19 challenges related to business, government relations, and so on? My answer to that very, very simply, Ayunda, is you are witnessing it now. Okay, this is number 35, 36, or 37 type of event that represents information sharing, intelligence sharing, bringing people together at times that are not so easy to bring together. And if we take on board Professor Reynolds' guidance, we are embracing the opportunities. We have been a chamber that has built our reputation of being the most active international chamber in Jakarta by having 60 odd physical events a year, which we just haven't been able to do this year. So what was seen as the next best thing has actually become a great thing, and has enabled us to partner with Prudential Indonesia today to benefit from the wisdom, experience, and insight of Professor Reynolds, and all of which has been opened with a wonderful backdrop of the development and the innovation of products within Prudential Indonesia at the beginning. To remind everybody that those of you on here today do receive a complimentary 1-year personal accident policy from the Prudential. There's certain data you will need to fill in, and I'm sure that the Prudential team will be in touch with you to make sure that you don't miss out on that wonderful opportunity, and much better than a goodie bag, much better than a goodie bag. With that from me, Jens, would you like to say a final word?
Well, thank you very much, Chris. And again, I think Professor Renald Kasali, terima kasih banyak. Thank you so much for your sharing. Always very interesting and insightful to listen to you. And Chris, also thank you for being a great moderator and asking, I think, a very wide angle, I think, of subjects which are relevant to, I think, not only HR professionals, but all of us from the business world, wherever we come from. And I think, again, on behalf of Prudential, I want to thank everybody who took the time and I think joined today's webinar, and wish you all luck. I think that we all, as a business and also as people and as communities, can manage transformation best possible, embrace agile, also staying healthy and happy. I think regardless how old you are, Chris, right? It's important keep a positive spin and keep a good optimism. Eh? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. To everybody, thanks for joining us. And we'll all be very, very interested in any feedback that you have. And I hope that the questions have raised, the answers to the questions have raised many, many more questions. And perhaps Prudential and BritCham can continue this and perhaps make a series of it. How about that? Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks very much.